maybe more passed. Angela was tender, but she was very efficient. Both of us dozed off at one point. We were both sweaty and spent. I visited the desert in my dreams, albeit briefly. The desert was dry, but I was not. The sand felt strange, as if I might all collapse at any moment. Around me I noticed that the soldiers were not swirling in circles. Did they feel uneasy about the sand as well? They were all so far away, and I couldn't tell if they were all aware of me. I performed a little twirl, hoping that someone might see. But I caught my foot in the sand and fell flat on my back. Boys? Nothing? Anything? I jerked away. My heart raced as I took stock of the situation. For a split second, I felt like I was back at home, arising for another day of dutiful work in my cell. However, the feeling of another skin quickly reminded me that things were not so idyllic. I untangled myself from Angela and stepped out of bed to gather my clothes. I had ended up completely nude in the proceedings. Well, I would hope so. I could feel, as I clambered over her, that Angela had not. It was almost pitch black in my cell, but I knew my way around. I could navigate this place blindfolded. Hello, sister. She still wore her shoes and white stockings. Things had escalated rather quickly then. You ever get laid and you look back and you're like, wow, that escalated quickly? My body burned on the inside. Oh, I think Darcy has something you can take for that. I was equal parts elated and terrified. Elated because I had experienced something undeniably pleasurable. Something that had briefly made me forget all of my troubles. Terrified, of course, because I knew quite well that quick and idle pleasures come at a price down the road. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to super censor this one. Holy crap. And I'm going to have to work around the knife, too. I'm going to have to find a way to keep the knife in the shot. The fact that her dagger was tucked neatly inside her leggings did not help either. Before I could start getting dressed, Angela awoke as well. She lazily dangled her arm off the bed, more relaxed than I had ever seen her. Oh, was that all she needed? Check under the bed one more time. There was really nothing, Angela. Just to be sure. Confused but unwilling to argue, I dropped my knees once more to rummage around under my old bed. After a few moments, I stood up again empty-handed. Nothing there. Still, one more time. I returned to my knees once more. I made a show of sweeping my arms underneath the bed before exasperatedly returning to my feet again. See, I know it's strange that the room is empty, but... Check again. Angela, really, She smirked, an expression which did not suit her. Yeah, God, she's more terrifying when she smiles. Knees. Now. With a huff, I returned to the floor and checked the darkened alcove. There was still nothing. I scrambled backward to stand up, but I felt something that could only have been Angela's shoe rest against the small of my back. Did I tell you to stand up? No, but... Then stay down there. We ripped off that Band-Aid in every sense of the word. She was being gentle. I suppose this could even pass for playful. She pressed just hard enough that when I exhaled, I could feel my stomach touch the stone floor. The sensation made me shiver. Are you comfortable? No. She giggled. This too suited her poorly. Liar. She pressed harder, forcing me into the stone. I groaned involuntarily. Goodness me. She spoke softly, calmly, almost warmly. Apparently satisfied, she removed her shoe from the small of my back, allowing me to slide back out from underneath the bed and stand up. She smiled again, looking me up and down, admiring me. Like what you see? Open the window. I stepped over to the shutters, then hesitated. You know, I have rather bad luck with this. The last 2 times I opened this window, somebody saw me naked. I can see you naked right now. I acquiesced and opened the window to let the afternoon sun highlight the bumps and lines of my body. Beautiful. I could feel my cheeks burning. Perhaps the Superior was right to drag you out of here. What a shame it would have been to have you waste away in here all alone. All that fear, all that anguish. I might say it was all worth it for this. Unsure how to respond, I instead gave a little twirl in the sunlight. Come here. I patted over the stone floor back toward Angela, who pulled me in for another kiss, which I accepted gratefully. How was I? Well, I'm not sure how to answer that. You laid with Katherine. How do I compare? I couldn't help but cough. Very well. Please don't make me say more. Sworn to secrecy, are you? What has she told you? Lots. She does seem to like me quite a bit. She's even confided in me about her husband. Oh? What about her husband? I felt a jolt of regret. I'd assumed that everyone knew, and that I had simply been made equal. She just told me all about it. What everyone knows, I assume. I winced, hoping that would be enough. In my head, I said a little apology to Katherine. Cryptic as always. And as hurried as ever. Why are you out of bed? What else is there to do today but enjoy one another's company? Stay a while. No, I should like that very much, but I have so much to do. Oh, your chronicles? You'll leave all of this out, of course. Dear Penthouse, I never thought that this would happen to me. I shook my head. I'm not chronicling. Well, you haven't been chronicling this whole time, jeez. Clock in for work occasionally, Hedwig, why don't you? Angela cocked an eyebrow and I began to get dressed. Well, I should take the sword of the superior for one thing. It's been left under my bed far too long, and she'll need to hear about Eustace's continued neglect. If we're going to move against Eustace, I want to do it quickly. And there's those new Oblates who I should really get to know better, even if they couldn't possibly have been involved. Plus, of course, there's this strange whistle that I saw Charity give. Half of all you just listed doesn't strike me as related. That's true. I should simply focus on one thing at a time. I didn't imagine you'd run to the superiors straight away. And then once you're done there, you're going to keep investigating? Yes, of course. Angela looked at me, seemingly bewildered. Should I not? By all means, I suppose. I don't know. I thought we had just established the futility of it all. Man, if that's how you celebrate futility, then God is dead and we're alone. We did. And you are welcome to consider our pact ended once I make my case to the superior. But that does not mean I'm giving up. With Eustace gone, I might at least be able to make sense of the rest one day. Angela stood up, then embraced me. I'm not giving up. I would hate to lose you so soon after claiming you. We do have some sort of connection. Yes? Yes. I leaned forward to attempt to give her a kiss, although my lips ended up somewhere on her chin. I wasn't very good at this. You know, when they talk about face blindness, I don't think that's what they meant. But I cannot just stop. Danger or no, I have a duty. If this truly is futile, then I am glad to have you as a confidant. You can confide in me anytime. Angela pulled away from me and nodded, although her expression was very dark. I understand. However, yes? Never mind. Do what you must. And good luck. I nodded firmly. We can meet again when there is news. Perhaps next time we can celebrate Eustace's arrest. I should like that very much. She nodded again, then bent over to gather her clothes. You leave first. We should spread out. I thought you already did. Of course. Have a pleasant rest of your day, Sister Angela. You as well, Sister Hedwig. I retrieved the sword and quickly wrapped it in my cloak, then took my leave. The walk back through the darkened hall didn't unnerve me at all. My mind was far too busy reliving every last detail of Angela and I's time together. The mire of the investigation and the threats looming over me still, not to mention the pitch black hall, should have had me terrified, but Angela's hands had rearranged something inside of me. She was thorough. I felt satisfied in a way I never had before. Confident in a fashion that surprised me. Yeah, that's what happens when you have sex with an actual person and not a sword. I emerged into the light and carried on down the hallway toward the stairs down to the cloister. I could hear the builders in the distance hard at work on the tower. Their voices carried throughout the courtyard easily. My heart jumped a little as I wondered if any sounds from my old cell had carried outside. Had any of them heard us? What if? What if? What if? I was so absorbed in this thought that I had stopped looking where I was going and careened straight into Margaret's back. Whoa, steady on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was distracted. No worries. I suppose I'm normally the one scaring you. What's that? She nodded towards the bundle I was carrying. I was trapped. Oh well, I was on my way to accuse Eustace anyway. It's the sword. What, Katherine's sword? Where did you find that? Outside, if you can believe it. What, you mean in the cloister, or... No. It was by the outer wall, by the back entrance. Huh. Any idea why? None at all. I was on my way back to take it to the Superior. A bit of a long route. I was going to stop into the dorms first, to check in on Darcy. She's up and about, I think. Or, well, she's up, maybe not about. I heard her and Moira chatting about plants. Oh, that's great news. Yeah. Listen, Katherine and I were going to skip lunch in and eat with the men in a minute. Would you like to join? Oh, I appreciate the invitation, but... The men? I should come clean. It's lunch with my father, really. Which is why I wouldn't mind having you there. You're a good sort, and clever. He'll have lots to talk to you about. Well, why? So he doesn't have to talk to me. The conversation is going to dry up quickly if he asks me what I've been up to all these years. Plus, if you're there, there's one more person to stare daggers at Katherine if she makes a pass at him. You think she'd do that? Right in front of you? You're right. Perhaps the third time would be too shameless even for her. Katherine's like, your dad's a DILF, Margaret. I don't know what to tell you. Twice last night, yeah. I don't think he noticed, but I certainly did. Oh dear. Indeed. So, meet you there after you've said hello to Darcy and drop that sword off with the Superior? I'll be there. Cheers. Right, see you later then. Right, see you later then. We parted ways. I had not, in fact, been planning on seeing Darcy before the Superior, but I was stuck now. I headed into the dorms and deposited the swaddled sword on my bed hastily, not wanting to give answers about it a second time. Then I dashed over to Darcy's door, which was ajar. I poked my head in to see Darcy awake, pacing around her room. Moira had already left, it would seem. Oh, hello. Greetings. I just wanted to see how you were doing. Horrid headache, but aside from that, well, I am alive at least. Oh, yes, thank God for that. Could you close the door? I obliged, then took the chair next to her bed. I had things to do, but Darcy's tone concerned me greatly. What's wrong? What happened? Oh, Darcy, I'm so sorry. I should have been there to help you so you wouldn't have to be alone. Darcy, please tell me, are the sheep okay? She raised her hand to silence me. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm just glad you did not suffer the same fate as me. But I want to tell you some things, and I need to keep them a secret until I decide it is time to tell somebody else. Oh, goodness. Very well. Well, what's another secret? First of all, I can tell you what happened. This is not the secret. This I also told Moira. The reason I was so late and so injured is I had to walk back up the hill, which was awful. But also halfway up, I got run off the road by the builder's caravan. No! Yes. I don't think they saw me through the rain, and it was too loud to hear me shout until it was too late. I nearly got trampled by their horses and almost got squashed by their wagons, and I rolled down the hill and hurt my leg. And then I had to crawl all the way back up to the road with a twisted ankle and then hobble all the way back up to the Abbey in the rain. Moira says I'm lucky to be alive. Now I want to tell you the part that is secret. Are you ready? Yes. Something terrible has happened in the village, and that is why I had to walk. Normally I would get a ride from the farmer or the farmer's boy, but, well, I suppose the farmer's boy is locked up and the farmer is dead. Dead? He is dead, and a lot of people in the village are dead. His wife spoke to me through the door. I thought something was strange when I got there with the sheep, and nobody was there to meet me. Okay, so the sheep are alright. The sheep are okay. I stabled them and knocked on the door to let the farmer know, and his wife answered, and she begged me not to go into town. People are dying and vomiting and shaking. I took several steps away from Darcy toward the door. I might have led a sheltered existence in my cell, but even I knew about the plague. News of Florence's woes was the one constant in the meager news missives I would receive alongside new books to fill. Calm down. There is no miasma here. We are far away from the village. Why can't you tell Moira this? She's the expert. Surely she could help. I cannot tell anybody because I do not want to cause a panic. Precisely the way you reacted is what I would like to avoid. But what if it's the plague? Whatever it is not plague. What I would like you to do is tell Moira that I am going to sleep for a while and do not require her assistance until I call for it. I will rest for a day or two and see if I develop any symptoms. If I do not, well, hooray. And if I do, well, you can tell everyone why I'm staying in here until I die. Oh, God bless you, my little neurodivergent nun. Darcy, Is it weird this is getting me more emotional than anything else? Just like, please not Darcy. She's my favorite. Please not Darcy. Please. Nobody goes down to the village anyway. Nobody needs to know until I am safe. I can tell the whole story to everybody when I am well. But how do you know it's not the plague? Darcy stared off into the middle distance, looking more serious than I had ever seen her. I know it is not plague. It is nothing good, but you can trust my word that it is not the plague. What did you see? I would rather not talk about it. But why not tell Moira? Why me? Well, I wanted to tell somebody, and I would rather tell you because I trust you. And if you are the last person I ever see, that would be better than seeing Moira last. Oh, Darcy. What about Eustace? I would not want to worry her. You I trust differently. I do not intend to worry you, to be clear. Just, I don't know. I understand. I appreciate it. I backed towards the door. Reading all of this in Darcy's voice is heartbreaking. I will tell Moira, and I'll see you soon. You will be well soon. Understand? Thank you, Hedwig. We shall see. If you are wrong, well, I'm glad I met you. You are always helpful, and I'm glad I could trust you. I offered a weak smile and left the room. Ugh. How could I accept such kindness from Darcy when I was about to accuse her closest friend of such heinous acts? Tears welled up in my eyes as I retrieved the bundled sword from my room. And after retrieving it from under my bed, I carefully wrapped the scapula alongside the blade. I remembered Flora's dull knife. Would I have a reason to share it? My focus was Eustace's guilt. I hoped that I would not have to betray Flora to the Superior, but just in case, I did my best to steel myself. Darcy's heart might break if Eustace was apprehended, but it was better than living forever with Katherine's murderess. I jogged back down the stairs and made to the Superior's office as quickly as I could. I could hear that the men were still hard at work on the tower. I was still not used to hearing so much noise in the cloister. Good timing. I was about to start looking for you. Do you have a report? Yes. You see, Mabel, you could always trust her. Indeed. What is that? She gestured at the bundle I was carrying. It's the sword. It was time to make my case. My mind was racing, and I was quickly gathering and discarding the information I felt would best single out Eustace. I had to focus on her. Everything else, anything without an answer, I could deal with later. The second sword, the shelves, these would be easier to inspect without Eustace breathing down my neck. I walked over to the Superior's desk and laid the cloak down with a thud. I saw the Superior's eyes widen as I unwrapped it to reveal the weapon. My word! Where did you find this? Did it go missing in the fire? Before the fire, I think. I found it outside. Outside? Where exactly? And when? I picked it up by the back entrance of the Abbey a day ago, but I suspect it may have been there for a long time. It was rather drenched, and I think I saw somebody put it there. Setting aside that you kept this unthinkably important evidence from me until now, you only think that you saw somebody place the sword where you found it? I could not tell her that I had put it there after finding it once before, lest I be interrogated further. All I could do was hope that Eustace's carelessness would be found at fault here and not Katherine's behavior. was a lie by omission, certainly, but there was simply no way I could tell the whole truth about the sword's movements. I reasoned as quickly as I could. I could tell the truth about Catherine's use of the sword. Eustace's impropriety and carelessness, after all, was still the moral of that story. Do you remember the night Katherine dragged me in here, unconscious? Naturally. You weren't given the whole truth. Katherine did not find me fainted on the side of the path. I caught her coming back from the hospital. I saw her hiding something behind her back before I fainted. I did faint, that aspect was true, and she was no longer carrying it when I awoke. The bishop and the superior exchanged looks. Are you quite certain? Yes, but really, I think that the most suspicious thing here is that she was able to get the sword in the first place. The bishop grumbled worriedly. You are positive she came back from the hospital? Yes, it was by her own admission. She told you this? Why? Because I thought I had caught her up to no good, and I had just... not that sort of no good. What did she tell you, Hedwig? That she had been specifically to visit James. Oh, good lord. Hedwig, why did you keep this from me? Because she threatened me. Things were going sideways quickly. Or perhaps she didn't threaten me explicitly, she just asked me to keep it a secret because she was embarrassed. Embarrassed? Why embarrassed? Because her and James were... they... Oh, come on, Superior, this is the least surprising thing you're probably hearing today. They had a carnal relationship, and I don't know, perhaps they were discussing that. You need to speak to this woman, Mabel. Yes, I do. Veiled threats, sneaking around with a sword, fornication with a man under my roof, and a history of violence. Veiled threat... No, listen to me. The sword was Eustace's responsibility, and it's been carelessly passed around due to lack of care. Eustace has already vacated her position in shame, and she apologized to me directly for her negligence. But... why are you questioning me? Katherine is not suspicious. Eustace is. The Superior folded her hands together. Sister Hedwig, it sounds to me as if you are letting your personal grudge with Sister Eustace interfere with your common sense. Unless you can tell me why Eustace is more suspicious, I have no choice but to ignore your pleas here. The shelves, all those books, gone! But alas, that would make me look mad. Instead, I had only one gambit left. Allow me to present my second piece of evidence. I pulled the cloak aside to reveal the charred remains I had been hiding in my room. Good lord! God in heaven. What is this? I found it in the sacristy before the room could be cleaned. I believe it is... a scapula. A what? A shoulder bone, I believe. I overheard Flora asking about scapulomancy in the library not too long ago. With Eustace, no less. Whose, bone would this be? I can only think of one answer. You believe this to be a piece of the late Sister Katherine? Impossible. She was buried in the graveyard. Be that as it may. Who else's remains could these possibly be? My reasoning exactly. Anyone but Katherine's. I watched her casket as it was lowered into the earth. But did you look inside? No. Oh lord, that face. That is the ultimate... oh shit face. If the body and the coffin were out of your sight for any amount of time, Hedwig's theory is plausible. Indeed it is. God. Cover that thing back up. It's too horrible to look at. So what do you think this means, Hedwig? Why do you think Katherine's remains were in the sacristy? I cannot say for sure, but my real theory was impossible to prove. Even if I convinced the Superior and the Bishop of Eustace's guilt, Angela was right. The full story was one the two of us would have to take to the grave. No one would ever believe the details. Flora was attempting to hide the fact that she had been carving a magic circle into the walls of the Abbey. I haven't found the knife she used to do it. I rearranged the cloak to reveal this extra evidence. Did Flora do this of her own accord? No. In fact, she refused to ever tell me who put such a ghastly idea into her head. It seems likely that she was manipulated by someone into taking part in some dark ritual. I assume that was out of loyalty, but what if it was out of fear? How ghastly. So, magic circles and An offhand mention of scapulomancy. What is scapulomancy? Scapulomancy is a forward-looking bit of sorcery, if I recall correctly. You answered that a bit too quickly. Forward-looking? Fortune-telling, you know. It is expressly forbidden. I'm aware of the artis prohibite, yes. Eustace claims that she let the sacristy catch fire by accident. She could be telling the truth, but I think her admission might be drawing attention away from darker details. You believe that she was performing some kind of ritual in the room, and then what? She knocked a candle over? She was locked up in there for quite a long time. Do you have any other ritual materials we could take a look at? I might be able to identify them. Sadly, no. The magic circle Flora has been carving is gone. One of the holes the builders were summoned to repair, ironically. You keep mentioning this circle of Flora's. Why didn't you tell me about this before? Because she begged me not to. And, well, I was worried I would look a bit mad. You got quite cross with me when I spoke of ghosts and so on. Now, Sister Hedwig, I warn you. Mabel, not now. Wait. There is still a circle. In the hospitalum. I froze. How could I have been so stupid? I should have warned the Superior about the circle in James's dungeon a long time before this. Yeah, that's on you, girl. But my loyalties were getting so crisscrossed, I had no choice but to defend myself if this obvious mistake was pointed out. James claims that the devil spoke to him, brought him extra food, and has been doling out lessons in dark magic. And now really, Hedwig. Why haven't I heard any of this until this moment? Had I told you before now, would you have listened? The night Flora was rescued, I tried to tell you the mad things I had seen. You insisted I focus on real things to report. Now, be that as it may. Silence! I had never heard the bishop so angry. To be honest, I scarcely believed the noise had come from him. His expression had barely changed. The Superior maintained her composure, but fell silent. Treat this poor girl with some dignity. I remember hearing unkind words from you about Hedwig's ghost tale the night Flora was found. It would seem that it is time you and I took her words seriously. Now, before we leave to inspect this circle you claim is in the hospitalum, is there anything else you have to share with us? Anything unusual or unexplainable that you perhaps were holding back on sharing for fear of how you would be treated? Yes. I spoke before I could think better of it. I had come here with the express desire to discuss Eustace and only Eustace. But the bishop's kindness and his rebuking of the Superior disarmed me utterly. I've been working on a larger theory. Katherine II, Eustace, Moira, and Margaret were very close. I have no idea what they were working on, but I've heard from several people that they were doing something secretive together right before the end. They all leave smoke out of their descriptions of the morning Katherine was found. Is that all? Well, I just mean, that's an ongoing thing that I'm doing my best to look into. They were probably buggering each other in the cellars or some such. No, they were buggering each other in their bedrooms. They have some class. It matters not. Oh, there you go again, Mabel. You commanded this girl to be your spy. Why do you dismiss all of her findings so rudely? Surely she was implying that Eustace could have been the ringleader of some kind of scheme that'll be worth pressing those women on. That is not my intent. I merely have the good sense to know what does and does not matter. Evidently not. Sister Hedwig, would you take us to the hospitalum and show us this circle? Now? Stupidly, I thought about my promise to Margaret. I'd hoped that I could still make that luncheon, even though this was obviously far more important. Of course. Certainly. I suppose there is no time like the present. She was glaring at me oddly. As the bishop made ready to leave, the Superior lifted up the sword and bone. She slipped the bone into a drawer, then disappeared into her bedroom to hide the sword. When she re-emerged, she nodded curtly toward the cloak on the desk. You may keep that. I put it on, somewhat sheepish. The journey to the hospitalum was wordless. Evidently furious with the bishop for speaking back to her in my defense, the Superior had marched ahead of us the whole way. The bishop appeared to take it in stride, to his credit. I had begun to doubt how useful his presence was some time ago, but at the very least I appreciated his focus on the matter at hand. I was not looking forward to witnessing James's madness. Unfortunately, that might have been preferable to what awaited us. Where is he? Don't joke, Mabel. I'm not joking, Richard. She was not. James's cell was empty. Where is he, Hedwig? I have no idea. Shit! Fuck! The Superior began to hastily fumble with her key ring. She eventually found the key she needed and practically flung the gate to the dungeon open. Perhaps he climbed out of that window. He pointed up at the small hole in the ceiling that I had eavesdropped on Katherine through. Impossible. Hedwig, show me the sigil before we leave. We need to form a search party as soon as possible. I stepped forward. The smell was so rank I coughed. I pointed at the crudely carved magic circle. The bishop peered at it, wrinkling his nose. He looked very grave. This is indeed dark magic. And it explains James's disappearance, I'm afraid. What do you mean? If I remember correctly, this is indeed a location transfer spell. Hedwig was correct. Meaning? Meaning your prisoner is long gone. The Superior paced around the dungeon for a moment and then let out a frustrated howl. We should leave. This sign. I do not like being in its presence. The Superior nodded. We turned to leave. Did either of you hear something just now? Nothing but my blood pounding in my head, I'm afraid. I did not. Oh. What a horrid discovery. We need men looking for James, dawn to dusk. There's no use, Mabel. He's just as likely in Constantinople as anywhere close. The spell is that powerful? Indeed. I was preoccupied turning Flora's conversation about the sigil over in my head. Who had taught it to her? There was something admirable about her loyalty, however misplaced it was. But whoever it was had also taught James. Why? I had my suspicions. The mood was very low when we re-entered the Superior's office. God in heaven. What do we do now? You will have to notify the diocese immediately. I don't want to do that until I have a culprit to hand over at the same time. Oh, really, Mabel? After all of this, you're still looking to save face. It's not about saving face. It's the right thing to do. It's more important than ever that I show them that action has been taken. Then I must reiterate. The time was now. Our culprit is Eustace. Are you certain? Who else but her? Someone taught Flora and James the same spell. It stands to reason that it would be the same woman dabbling with other arts prohibitae in the sacristy. What's more, James told Angela and I that he had been visited by the devil. Eustace dressed up as a ghost to scare me and everyone else in the Misericorde. But as far as I am aware, Eustace has always insisted that James was the killer. Why set him free? Because he knows. Why else would Eustace visit him in disguise and offer help? She was able to deduce that he knew the truth and struck a deal with him in exchange for his silence. Better to send him far away than keep him here. If he was captured, he might be forced to talk before being hanged. But I didn't let her finish. I was using every move I had that didn't involve revealing my own madness. The missing books in the shifting library were the real evidence, or perhaps if I gave the Superior everything else. Not to mention that she has shown a flagrant disregard for the sword she was entrusted to take care of. The sword Katherine was killed with. I see. I hesitated for a moment and tried to think of any last-minute bids for Eustace's guilt. But there was nothing else I could say. It's as good a theory as any, Mabel. Indeed it is. Leave us be for now, Hedwig. You have done very well, but there is much Richard and I must discuss now. I bowed my head and left the office. Queasy as I was, I felt a certain duty to keep up appearances. As I always had, I suppose. I had promised Margaret that I would attend lunch with her and her father, though I was surely late by now. I picked up my pace. Katherine would be there at least. I was anxious to let her know that I had delivered all of my evidence against Eustace. Not over dinner, of course, but nonetheless. The men's camp sprawled out over the Abbey's front entrance. There were several large tents housing rows of cots, as well as ones filled with rows of chests, crates, barrels, and tools. Larger still were the carts filled with cut stone. There were builders working these in still, moving massive rocks on complicated-looking systems of ropes, ramps, and wheels. The men shouted at each other in colorful language, some in tongues I did not recognize. Others were gathered in and around a central tent that appeared to be serving as a makeshift dining hall, eating bread and cheese and speaking animatedly. first I felt nervous. Was I walking to a den of Thomases? But as I pushed my way through the crowd, I relaxed somewhat. Many smiled, and some nodded at me as I passed. I felt as if I had walked into an illuminated manuscript. I had drawn men building Solomon's temple so many times that I could likely have done it with my eyes closed. But if I had, it wouldn't have looked quite like this. It was with some embarrassment that I noted how different all of these people looked. Tall men, short men, stocky men, pale men, and dark men, and several somewhere in between. When it came to depicting nameless figures, the most differentiating factor I'd ever thought to include was whether or not my men had a beard or a hat, and whether my women wore red or blue. In the margins of my Bibles, I had never drawn a Margaret, nor a Charity, nor an Adela. I wanted to ask all of these men where they were from and what their lives were like, but I suppose that would be rude of me. In the back of my mind, I began to worry again, and soon I was back to feeling terrified by the throngs of strangers. I did my best to tear my eyes away from these strangers. As I passed each tent, I peeked inside. Margaret had not told me exactly where this luncheon would be taking place, but as I continued deeper into the camp, the answer became fairly obvious. There was a far more ornamental tent just ahead. The flaps were peeled back to reveal a lavishly set dining table. I could see Crispin seated at the head, gesticulating animatedly at his guests. And animatedly, ZC loves that word. When I entered the tent myself, he stood up and extended his arms widely. "Welcome, good sister! Margaret said we could expect you." Margaret smiled at me gently. "I apologize for my lateness. I got caught up with some clerical business on the way over. I hope the building hasn't been too distracting for you." He sat down again and waved at a young man standing by the exit of the tent, who bowed and disappeared. Not at all, other than... Crispin cleared his throat politely. Other than the occasional loud noise, which is more amusing than anything. I'm so used to it I've barely noticed them. I have. Crispin laughed. "It's been wonderful having something to look at. I'd never considered construction a spectator sport, but perhaps I should keep that in mind for future projects. I could charge entry if I ever build at a convent again." "Does that happen often?" "We had never received a contract from a nunnery until now. It's good to have connections in high places." He reached out to squeeze his daughter's shoulder affectionately. "I heard the superior talk about building contracts and thought of you, that's all. Lynborough is a high place indeed. We are rather close to God up here, albeit perhaps only physically." "Are you the only members of the convent? I have only seen about a dozen or so of you." "Yeah, it's a bit lonely." Just then, a plate materialized in front of me. It contained golden roast bird and several colorful vegetables. The young man who had brought it bowed once again, then returned to his post next to the exit. "Thank you. You may leave. I will come fetch you when it's time to clean the place." The servant nodded and left wordlessly. "So, you are the chronicler here, Hedwig?" "Well, nominally." "Indeed, sir. No need for that. I have to imagine that's a tough job with so few nuns in the congregation. Does it feel as if you've been tasked with writing gossip sometimes?" "No, never. I tend to stay as impartial as I can." "Yet if not writing at all is impartial." "How wise. I strive for the same in my reports. Raw numbers, dates, hirings and firings and the like." "You can't have time for much else. You're a busy man, surely." I felt Margaret kicking me under the table. "What's the biggest building you've built?" Look, it was the first question that came to mind. The biggest? Well, that's a hard question to answer. I've been all over the country, but I mostly specialize in repairs or additions. I would love to build a cathedral one day, from the ground up. A whole cathedral? That could take decades, surely. Centuries, perhaps. So, I'd better start soon? He grinned and swirled his goblet of wine. "Well, I am positive you of all people could get it done." Another kick under the table. "This meat is delicious. What is it?" "I'm so glad you think so. It's fresh duck. I'll be sure to pass your compliment on to my cooks." "Fresh?" "Indeed. I always bring some livestock to these longer jobs. Slaughtered and plucked this morning and cooked right before luncheon." "My goodness. There must be so many for a crew this big." Crispin chuckled. "I pride myself on my treatment of staff, good sister, but this sort of thing is just for me and my guests." The men had plentiful stocks of dried meats, bread and grain, and so on. "Oh. How was Mother?" "Content and occupied. I asked her if she wanted to accompany me, but the journey was too long and the job even longer. She did ask me to bid you a warm greeting and ask that you write more. Margaret rolled her eyes and Crispin chuckled. I know, mothers. She could always write to me. She has, or so I thought. Not that I'm aware. I know she gave up some 6 months ago. Perhaps a year? That's curious. I've never received anything. She addressed it to the village postmaster, I believe. It could be well that they have cretins running the place. Yeah, we never really addressed that, did we? Like, the fact that the mail wasn't getting delivered. Keep that in the back of your minds. I feel like that's going to come back. I can vouch for that theory. The village is populated entirely by Lackwits. I shall take your word for it, good sister. We spent no time there. The windows and doors were all closed when we passed, and it seemed pointless to stay the night there so close to the Abbey. I used to live there until my husband passed. Ghastly people. Judgmental morons. Yeah, not like the Catholics. A testament to your grace that you served them so dutifully then, good sister. Kick. I wanted to help Margaret, I truly did. But my meal was finished, and I could feel my usefulness to the conversation drying up, lest I prod Katherine on details about her husband, or come up with another stupid question to change the subject. Thank you so much for the lovely meal, but I think I should return to work. Oh, really? I feel like I was just getting to know you. Margaret speaks very highly of you. I was hoping to meet all of her friends. Hedwig is right, unfortunately. We really should be getting back to it. Must we? Alas, I'm sure there's much I could be doing now as well. Before you go, I would ask one thing of you, Margaret. Oh? When this job is done, the company will be heading to London. There are bridge repairs to be done, you see. Yeah, London Bridge fell down, go figure. They were singing the song all goddamn day, you have no idea. Would you like to come with me? What? Leave the convent. I have a great many contacts in the city. We could find you a good husband. No. 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 I understand. I only offer in case you're unhappy here. Thank you, but no. Understood. Well, thank you so much for indulging me, good sisters. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other before the work is through. There is plenty more duck where that came from. He stood up and showed us to the exit of the tent. Katherine looked somewhat disappointed as we stepped out into the daylight. We walked back through the busy encampment, as invisible as ever. Work? What work do you have to do, Margaret? I'll find something, I'm sure. I appreciate you two coming along. I cannot spend too long with him alone. Or at all, it seems. I know you feel inadequate around him, but come now. He seems so genuinely proud of you. He's always been a good actor. It was Katherine's turn to beg me for help with a conversation. She turned at me with a pained look. What makes you think he's lying? He offered to take me away. Because he misses his daughter. I don't know. Perhaps it isn't on purpose. But I know he isn't proud of me. How could he be? I haven't done anything. Must you do something for him to love you? Look around you. All these men, they have to work hard for his approval. His company is well regarded. He has exacting standards. When I was a little girl, I watched him fire men who could have run successful companies on their own for not measuring up. Men I would have called family. He'd fire me if I worked for him, that's for sure. I think that's a little bit different. How so? Well, you two are flesh and blood, for one thing. A rather thin dividing line. Katherine looked at me again, but I had nothing to offer. Margaret was in quite a bad mood, and nothing we could say could fix it.